This is Don from Lang Trailers, and we're going to do another one of our long-form podcasts. And today joining me is the owner-operator and the guy who does everything at the Throne Depot, Steve Brodeur. Steve, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Don. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. So if you can, tell us a little bit about you, your team, and the Throne Depot, and what do you guys do?
Sure. So Throne Depot, we started it 20 years ago. This is our 20th anniversary in 2025. We started in 2005. My business partner, Mike Cormier, and myself started it. We said we knew some friends that were in the porta potty business on the West Coast. And they said, hey, Mike was selling Hino's, had a Hino dealership. I used to work for him. And they said, hey, you guys should sell some porta potty trucks over there in New England. And we looked around and there was no porta potty companies to sell porta potty trucks to. So we said, oh. So we looked at starting a porta potty business in 2005. And me and Mike said, we'll start it and we'll buy a truck from FMI and 26 toilets. And our exact words were, how hard could this be? And now 20 years later, it has consumed our life, and we're in 5 states. We have 60 employees, 40 trucks,
Awesome.
almost 40 trailers, and north of 5,000 toilets. And
5,000 plastic units, like portables?
Yeah.
Wow.
5,000, north of 5,000. We have over 40 trailers, Lang trailers, as well as some others, and every day, just continuously taking care of our customers and loving every minute of the industry. I've seen the industry just change. From 2008, from the economic downturn to 2014 and 15, things got better. 2018, we had a natural gas explosion up here. Then 2020, and a pandemic, and many things in between. And now it's full gas. We're very busy and very blessed.
Awesome. Yeah, it definitely has changed quite a bit. It's changed for me in the years that I've been in it. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today. We're seeing a lot of changes. And one of the things that we get asked about a lot are long-term restroom trailer rentals. So if you can give me some insight or how you and your team manage those, once you get a request from, say, a construction site or any long-term rental of a trailer, how do you handle that? What's the process that you guys go through? And what questions are you asking your customers?
Sure, absolutely. So we have a sales manager who works in house, Miranda, and she has an outside sales team as well as inside sales team. So it really depends on if it's a long-term construction trailer or some sort of long-term trailer goes to our sales manager, and then if it's a short-term, 3 months or less, goes to one of our inside people that handle trailers, handle events, things like that. So as you said, what we classify as a long-term rental is something over 3 months.
Okay.
And in regards to, we address the customer's needs, and we're finally seeing that the construction industry especially is starting to look away from just plastics. The construction sites are creating a better environment for their employees, a better environment from LEED certification to energy to everything. The days of lots of graffiti being in plastic units have drastically been taken down. The artists, they've seemed to pause the artist in the bathroom, which is a good thing. And we're having a conversation with these construction companies trying to provide a better environment for their employees. And sometimes if we're quoting a decent sized job and they're asking for a trailer compared to plastics, we really want to dig in and realize how long is the project for? How many people? Are we working a 40-hour work week? Are we working weekends? Is it a 1-year project, a 2-year project, whether it's union, non-union, several things that we ask. Availability of service. Are they hooking up into a storage, or are we going to be vacuuming the trailer each week? Those are a lot of questions that happen on a long-term construction site as well as even a short-term. But in the construction industry, they're much more open to a trailer. We used to call them luxury trailers, right? Now we our restroom trailers, and we purchase them with some commercial applications inside, so not always fancy bond boards, some real rugged commercial as you make some commercial floors, just to take the abuse. And we fact find, what are they trying to do? Is it a school? Is there going to be a clerk of the works that needs their own trailer? Is it a single trailer? Is it a 2-stall? Is it a 4-stall? Is it for the workers? Is it for the management? Or both? So those are some of the questions that we ask, especially in a construction. Uh, Somebody looking to rent
Hmm.
a trailer for a construction site, and it also determines whether it's for the end user and we're doing a big box store and the trailer is there for construction of the bathrooms, and is this going to be for the experience for the customers or for the employees or both?
Right. Gotcha. Now, how often do you, whenever you guys do get an opportunity at this, how often do you do a site visit prior to? Is it something that's mandatory for you? Do you that's a part of the, hey, before we quote this, can we come see the site?
So really depends. If it's a long term, we like to,
Hmm.
especially if they're going to be tying into water or soil. We need to understand when it's a long term. We really push to get there. Anytime we can get in front of our customers, we're all about getting on the site. We'd rather conduct business face to face, handshakes, talk to people, put a face to the name. So we are always proactive to getting out to the job site. Then it gives us a little bit of education on how we can put it, how we can work with them, how we can work together as a team, not just supplying all their restroom needs, from trailers to if they have office trailers that may need a fresh water system.
Hmm.
Is the restroom trailer going to be located next to that? Where is the project on the site? Are we going to have to move the restroom trailer as the site progresses? Once the site work's done, the foundation's in, are we
Hmm.
temporarily hooking it up now, hooking it up later? So those are all a lot of fact findings that we can find when we're on site.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot more that goes into it, obviously, in the 3 minutes that we've been talking about how, just it's more than just setting up a trailer and,
Correct.
and leaving, or setting up a porta potty. So you mentioned about 3 months. Anything over 3 months you consider, long term. How does that length of contract change the way you price the job?
So we do a couple things here. We have short term, which is 3 months or less. Then we have seasonality, right? So seasonality, especially we are here in Boston, the Northeast.
Hmm.
So seasonality, a lot of our trailers will go out for May 1st, come back October 1st or the end of October. That's a 6 month rental. That's a seasonality rental. And
Hmm.
then a long term rental is a year. And where we find the difference is the seasonality is gone before the bad weather. The 1 year rental, we need to winterize that. And we winterize that when we set it up. We're not going
Hmm.
to be running out there for a fire drill in November because we didn't
Get cold
winterize
weather.
it in June, So
Yeah.
uh, everything here with long-term rentals is focused around the weather. We
Hmm.
set it. We set up the expectations right off the get-go, what we need to do, how we need to set it up so that they can have uh, working facilities when it's 0 degrees here. So we set that up for a long-term rental. Obviously, um, the longer the term, the more services required, the better
Hmm.
we can work the whole number. We bill by the week for a rental for a trailer, and the longer the duration, the better the number gets. And then you still have
Hmm.
the opportunity to service. And then what is the frequency of services?
Gotcha. So when you're talking about the winter, and winterizing, you're basically setting up, say, hey, you're setting up a trailer in June. It's going to go through January, February. We're going to set up the power. So we need 50 amps of power in the winter. We might as well just get that out of the way right now.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
we want to make sure that we have the dedicated 50 amps. We shut the breakers off. We don't
Hmm.
let we tape them. We
Hmm.
try kind of childproof it, keep it simple.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then what we set that all up. We skirt it if it's going to be there a year, right? If it's there temporarily during the winter, we might do hay. If it's going to be there long term, we have nice wooden skirts we put around it,
Hmm.
keep the wind from going underneath it, the snow going from underneath it. We also make sure that all our trailers come with the winter package as you supply us with. And also, we use a heated hose during the winter months.
Mm.
We set everything up, but we don't run the heated hose until the fall. We will swap that out, something
Gotcha.
we do. But we skirt it, we insulate the bottom, we make sure everything's all set. We put infrared lights underneath these. It's all ready for underneath it for us to plug it in the fall.
Okay.
So, like how people keep their chickens warm. I
Right.
learned up in
Right.
Toronto. I learned in a Toronto show at the PSAI this year from some great folks up in Canada that a red infrared light is amazing underneath the trailer. How
Really?
that little source of heat, and yet we buy them at Tractor Supply, and that's something. And one little light keeps everything warm under there. Is like we use that. We had two eight stall shower trailers going all winter this year, no problems.
Wow. And that's a great tip. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, after 20 years, I learned that, and that's something
Yeah.
I learned up in Toronto. Our first international show with PSAI, and that
Hmm.
was one of the gems I took away from that.
Yeah, that's an easy one, inexpensive, and ensures that your trailer doesn't turn into a giant block of ice.
Right. Yeah, and we use
Yeah.
those. We use those in restroom and shower trailers all winter long when it's a
Okay.
long term. So
Okay. So we mentioned and you talked on about service. How important is service of a trailer on a long-term site? How do you factor in how many times you service that in a week?
So, couple things, and we're very good at finding or asking the questions at the beginning, whether we
Mhm.
always get the correct questions. Somebody says, "Hey, we're going to have 10 people on the job, 40-hour work week." That sounds good. And then it turns into 20. Then we need to address it, right?
Right.
But we have all the questions. What is the hours of the job site? How many people are going to be using it? And then is it hooked up? Because depending on the construction site, we have temporary power. We might not have sewer, might not have water. So those are all the questions we take at the beginning. And a lot of our projects, we start delivering water, and they will get temporary power. And then we are filling them with water and vacuuming the septic out, just say once a week.
Hmm.
Um, and then janitorial services will occur on that once a week service. We have to figure out how much usage, and then we determine how many times a week we come to clean the toilet. We really push for every other day service, and if you're going to have a substantial amount of people, and especially for us to vacuum it. If you got direct water coming from the city and the sewer, then that takes some of the service away. But we want the expectations that every day somebody is janitorial cleaning that trailer. Otherwise,
Okay.
somebody goes in, there's no toilet paper, there's no soap. They're not calling the site manager, they're calling the name that's on the trailer. And then
Right.
we're contracted to only go once a week. So if we're contracted once a week, we tell them somebody has got to refill the supplies. We leave you the supplies. We can do it as part of a janitorial service, or they can do it. But just like any place, the place needs to be clean, janitorial services every day. You have 10 people going into a restroom, bathroom. It needs a hug and a kiss at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of the process when you first get it out there, you may schedule twice a week, but then you may find as the job goes on further on, it may be 3 times a week or maybe 4 times a week.
Correct. And ultimately, the more services you have, it gives you the opportunity to work with the customer
Hmm.
and a better experience.
Okay. Now, is servicing a good stream of income? Is it a great service that you provide that provides more money for you?
Sure. We are, the fixed cost of the trailer is X number of dollars per week or per month,
Hmm.
however somebody is bidding it. But the opportunity for increased revenue, incremental income, is the usage, right? So,
Hmm.
are we servicing it once a week? We look at that project differently. We might bid it differently if we're only servicing it once a week, where our rental rate may drop a little bit if we're servicing it 3 times a week.
Okay. Awesome. And that kind of factors into if you want a 1 year rental, 2 year rental, 6 month rental. If it's a longer contract, you how do you? I guess I'm trying to ask is how do you gauge if you're servicing 3 times a week and it's a 1 year? Is that cost or that rental rate less at 1 year than it is at 6 months?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So the ultimately the reoccurring revenue not only is the rental, but it is the service. So if we service it 3 times a week, we have the opportunity to work with the customer to maybe reduce the per week rental rate.
Hmm.
So that
Okay.
gives them flexibility. We could show them that if you service 2 or 3 times a week, the cost of your rental could come down because of longevity of the project and how long we're going to be servicing it.
Hmm.
So we definitely factor all of that, and especially the location. We service almost 5 states. I don't say the fifth state because we only go there if we have to, but
Yeah.
it's also where it's located,
Right.
right? We're doing some different projects. If they're on a beach or they're on here or there, then it really determines where it's located, time. That all factors into service. A lot of our services happen very, very, very early in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
We like to be the phantom, in and out, like we don't even exist.
Don't want to be seen. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, what are some of the most unique rentals that you've come across? Have you had to have midnight servicing? Have you had it's a 24-hour job? Has it been anything that's been just like crazy where you just sit back and say, I don't know if this is worth it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, all the time we did a big thing for the Bruins last year in a
Mm,
hangar at the airport, had to be brought in for 3 hours of pictures, and then had to be removed, had to be pulled out by the unions, then brought to us, had to happen at 11 o'clock at night.
mm,
Um, we have them at helicopter ports where we're building all the wind farms out in the ocean, and all our trailers need to be strapped down because they're near the water. They're bolted down to pads, concrete
mhm.
pads. They're all specced, almost like a modular home.
Right.
And so we've had them slinged and put on the top of a building for an event, well, more for a parking garage when there was an issue.
Hmm.
Um, so we're very flexible. I mean, sometimes you're looking and go, is it really worth the heartburn? And
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, we're in the service business, so we take care of the customers, and you hope to do
Hmm.
a really great job for a reasonable price, and that they continue to use you.
Gotcha. So when you guys started with portables or porta potties, you jumped into with trailers. What was that like? What was it that caused you or forced you to look at trailers?
Um, the need, our customer, one of our big customers here, publicly traded company, does cement here, and their unions wrote into their contract that they needed something more than porta potties. So they were
Hmm.
removing porta potties from a competitor. We were calling on them, and they asked for a trailer. So we brought in a two-stall trailer there that sat there for 4 years, and that kind of introduced us into the market in 2008, where there wasn't a huge. 2008 was a tough year. We really didn't
Hmm.
plan on buying we didn't plan on buying anything that year,
Right.
and
Right.
and we bought that trailer, and it sat there, and then we built some momentum since then, and a lot of the momentum has really come about in this industry over the past, from 2016, 17, 18 is really where the momentum has started. More and more manufacturers of trailers, the products, the weight of the trailers, uh, it's come full circle in the 20
Mhm.
years I've seen. With miles and miles to go, I think our technology has a lot of options to help us in our industry, from trailers to plastics to software.
Gotcha. So we're seeing a lot of that too. Is some larger companies are using or looking to get in to restroom trailers away from portables as a way of employee retention. Nobody, even construction workers, nobody wants to go in a porta potty in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer.
Right.
Did you find that to be true? Is that one of the?
So we find it very much in the how we call it, our end user customers, beaches, which was never a customer for us in the past, I now don't want toilets. Some
Mhm.
nice towns here on the coast will find the funding to put a trailer for the people to go to the beaches.
Okay.
And we found that last year and this year much more acceptable now, and more options for towns with beaches, breweries, golf courses are all a source of income that has really started to bubble the past 6 years. But
Hmm.
the beaches is the past 2 years, we've had an influx of beaches and museums near the beaches, especially being down here on the Cape and Boston area, that they want they want trailers, and then they get really specific and want ADA trailers,
Hmm.
handicap trailers, which I've been in business 20 years. Up until last year, I had one. Now I got five, four, five, and
Four or five.
it's feast or famine, and that's a real specialty trailer. It's
Hmm.
takes a lot. It's very expensive to buy. Takes some time to set up. You're not picking them up and dropping them all the time, and we've done really well with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that's when you and I first met. Down in I think it was at a PSI show in Tennessee,
Yep,
and we originally started talking about the ADA trailers and how an ADA trailer can expand your business. It's more select, it's different customer base, but anything public,
correct.
that's when places are looking to rent them.
Yep. and they're more on construction projects now. We've had 2 on construction projects recently, um, and not for the contractors, for the end user. So whether it's a nursing home or it's a big box store or something, when they're remodeling the facility, they need to have an ADA trailer.
Gotcha. So if you're moving from event rentals, it's some of our customers do in the long term. What should other owners be aware of before making that leap? I know it's not easy. You can tell from this conversation you have, it's just not cut and dry, and it's an easy thing to do.
To move from events to, say that again?
Long-term rentals.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done long-term rentals until, the past, since COVID. Before that, it was all short-term, lots of weddings, in and out. I mean, do what you got to do. With the smaller weddings, you're very creative. You drop it off Friday, use it Saturday, pick it up Sunday, deliver it Sunday.
Right.
The long-term rentals is really about having your systems in place. We just had a meeting last week. We're updating. We have a QR code when you open up the inside panel for the doors, a QR code, what to do and what not to do with the trailer. And that's really on a short-term trailer where the best man goes to turn it all on because you had to deliver it on a Wednesday and the event's not till Saturday. We have a lot of that here where we need to deliver the trailer 3 or 4 days ahead of time because we cannot deliver 20 trailers on Saturday morning. It's humanly impossible. And so we've done setting the expectations on the short-term rental, QR codes with directions. Long-term, shifting to long-term was not educating the customer about how we're running the trailer as much as a short-term and a wedding. You show them, here's how the AC goes on. We don't want it running all day. Your radio, things like that. That's all. We spend a lot of time walking the customer through that. Upon the delivery, we have a scheduled time when we do a short-term rental and how long we set up with the customer, how many times we take it off the truck. Those are all short-term problems that you deal with and you get good at them. Long-term, it is truly up here. It is about setting the expectations with the customer on service, water consumption on a long-term project. If they're not hooked up to water and sewer, we love it. It's a source of income, right? We love it, but we also have to set the expectations that 40 people a day, you're going to need a water delivery. You know what I mean? So set that expectations. Do we do a trailer? Oh, we don't do a 2. We need a 4. We need a 2. And then we need a handicap, possibly just to meet codes. We have a 4-stall trailer for long-term, but it doesn't meet the ADA, so you put a handicap. It's all about the expectations, what the customer's looking for, frequency of service. It's all about service in the long term. When short-term, that's you're dropping it, you vacuum it. You don't move them. You don't move them full, right, Don? We don't move them full.
No, we do not.
So,
highly recommended again.
Right. So the short term is being able to pick it up, vacuum it, and move it. The long term is setting it up and having that communication. And we tell everybody, we start them at once a week service or twice a week, and then let's figure it out, right? When we do our quote and our bill, it doesn't have 5 services a week. It is services X to be determined.
Gotcha. So in a long term and during your service, when you're going to these sites, let's just say a construction site, construction workers are typically big people, big guys, and they're rough on the trailer. What's one of the most common things you got to fix or replace?
The toilet, the springs, the toilets. I mean, we've talked about it. Very hard to get a really porcelain toilet. I mean, that project that we did in 2008, we were there 4 years. We had a couple of the guys weren't pleased. Big concrete guys, they kicked the toilet right off the platform, threw it out, called us, wanted a new toilet. And it's just you're putting work boots on the plastic levers, the springs. The guys are sitting on them. The toilet is, the toilet's the number one problem. That is really it. Keeping on a long-term rental, having somebody have a key, and all about controlling, not everybody touching everything, everybody touching the music, it's all about setting the expectations. You need to have a project manager, somebody have a key, somebody have the supplies so they don't take everything from you.
Gotcha.
But the toilet, as you know, is the number one.
Yeah, we definitely see that quite a bit. So, so you kind of you led into my next question, and I think you mentioned it there. I was like, what's the longest rental contract you've had, to date? Was it a 4 year?
That was a 4 year, and that was just a one off. We really like 2 years, a lot of projects, 2 years, museums, things like that. Breweries
Mhm.
and seasonality. So you bring it for 5 months, the next year you bring it if you're blessed again to get the contract for 5 months.
Right.
And we try to work with our customers that if you're going to take it seasonality year after year, we generally they're in a contract that benefits them and us so that we can allocate that asset for them each year
Hmm.
and know what we have to purchase and buy.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's great. Well, I think that is everything that I wanted to discuss with you. We covered the gamut of everything around from service to long-term rentals to beaches to construction sites. Is there anything that you don't think we talked about when it comes to a long-term rental?
Um, no, I just if I could give a little advice, it is
Absolutely.
liability, little liability, your COI, your certificate of insurance
Hmm.
needs to be up to par. Not only the one you send them, the one you get from them, because the liability is people coming in and out of that,
That's a great
walking
point.
down those stairs, standing in there, scalding water, whatever the case may be. It's liability. That's, if something keeps me up at night. Yesterday, we're working on a long term contract right now, and long 2 year long term
Hmm.
contract, and for a shower trailer, and it's all about liability. Everybody wants you to sign their
Right.
we need our name on your
Yep.
COI,
You need a
as
rider. Hmm.
additionally insured, and it's all about, we can't control what people are drinking and doing. And it's
Right.
amazing what some people do in these restrooms. So it's all about liability. And that's a big thing for us. And that's one of the biggest parts of our trailer division is that we're constantly working on liability and working on updating directions on how to use the trailer when we're not there. QR code goes to we don't have a YouTube video. We're in the process of making one.
Mm.
Flip these switches on. We have a whole slip, color coded. Turn this on. Don't turn this on. Don't turn the heat on and the air conditioner on in August. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So,
Right. Right.
so it's all about educating the customer, and then it's like a fire drill on a Friday night at 6 o'clock. So if the AC's not working, something like that.
Yep. Yep. Get
So
those calls all the time.
we try to educate it, and we've done better links and QR codes, and just trying to keep them educated on what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is phenomenal advice, and it's a great point on the liability. It's one I never even thought of to talk about. So, but yeah, that's great. Thank you for joining us. I hope to talk to you soon, as I'm sure I will.
Absolutely.
We'll come up with another topic, and we'll do this again.
Sounds good. I appreciate you inviting me. Have a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.